In high school, one of my Quran teachers had just moved to Florida from overseas, and she used to always be bothered why in this small town that we lived in, there was only one supermarket, and the supermarket was far from her house. So she said as soon as she moved into town, she would say this dua that we learned from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, Allahumma ajirni fi musibati wa akhlif li khayran minha." She would make this dua that we're taught for calamities. And she would say a lot of people only use this when something really big happens. But she said we should make this dua even in small inconveniences. When something doesn't go well and you feel like you're really upset in the moment about something, take advantage of this dua to say, re-anchor yourself in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say, to Allah I belong and to Him I return. Oh Allah, reward me in this calamity, in this circumstance that I'm going through, and give me better than it. And she said, whenever something inconveniences you and you make this dua, have firm belief in Allah that He will give you better. Right? Have firm belief that Allah will and can replace the situation for you from what you're in to something a lot better. And she said within months, subhanAllah, of her being in town, a new supermarket was built right next to her house. So much so that you can even walk to it. It was so close. And she told us this story and she was so affirmed that this is the power of this dua. And this is the same dua that was given to Salama by her husband. And her husband was passing away and she was uttering this dua on her tongue. And she was thinking to herself, I love my husband so much, who's better than him? Right? She was making this dua, oh Allah, give me better. And she says and narrates, I didn't even know there was someone better, right? Because of how much she loved and respected and honored her husband, subhanAllah. And then after his passing, radiallahu anhu, who proposes to Salama? None other than Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. She ends up being a mother of the believers for us, the wife of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So imagine the power of this dua. Right? And this is not a dua you have to wait for a calamity to strike to say. Right? Whenever an inconvenience comes to you or something sudden comes to you, right? No matter how small, let it remind you that you belong to Allah, and let it remind you that Allah can take you from this circumstance to something better, inshallah. So the next time something happens, say this dua and have firm belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can surprise you in beautiful ways.